Welcome to the show, Leann. I'm so excited to have you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for opening your space so we
Mm.
can play all things design today.
Yeah, I love human design. I am excited to play in this space with you. And I'm curious, what brought you to human design? Like, how did you get to where you are today?
Well, it's an interesting walkabout. So I actually was in finance, in banking for 10 years. I was a manager in banking for 10 years. And at the 7-year mark, the institution had indicated they were going to go to a new computer system. I remember sitting in the boardroom with all of the managers, and this sensation just flowed over me, and I knew that I wouldn't be there for the quote unquote go live of this new computer system. Now fast forward 7 years or 3 years, because I was there for a total of 10. It took 3 years to get it all implemented and in place. And I made sure my entire staff was fully trained on it, and I exited before the go live date. We also are cattle ranchers, so I had the wherewithal to be able to come home, be on the ranch, and kind of decompress for a
Mm.
while. And when I was ready to jump back in, I typed into the computer new age business, and human design popped up. And of course, down the rabbit hole I went. I went to every single class for 8 years through the International Human Design School, the BG5 Business Institute. I absorbed every piece of, information that I could from Raw through Jovian Archive, and I just lived it. I just was it. And really, the what really pulled me in was seeing my design and recognizing that some like the major parts in my life where I made decisions, actually now I had a word for it, and it was because I am sacral defined for my inner authority. I connected with that right away, and I'm like, okay, this is a permission slip to be me.
Mm.
And then in the circuitry itself, I could see all of that play out in my life. So it was like a permission slip, but also it was like this, oh, okay, the manual, I'm doing this correct. I'm not like totally out to lunch when people are wondering like what's going on in your world. When I make decisions, everything very, very much felt like, okay, I'm present and it's good. That's how I got to design. It found me, I didn't find it.
Wow. What a beautiful story. Yeah, like you were just very general, like new age business, and then that
Yes.
came through. It was like meant to be.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And I really see it as a permission slip to be who you are.
Very much. Very much.
Yeah, I'd love to have you share like your definition of human design with my listener, my viewer today. Yeah, what is human design?
So I'm going to take you a little bit esoteric. So how I recognize this is that at the core, it really is this tool to help us make decisions. And through that decision making process, we become more aware of the outside world and how we're quote unquote reacting or interacting with the outside world. So I kind of see it like, so we're in this, matrix, I guess you want to say. It's like the sky clock. It goes around. If you look at an astrology chart or a human design mandala, it's like this circle, and the planets are moving around, and we're inside this, the time clock. And how we can really lean into having our best life is to stay centered with our monopole in the middle,
Mm.
be fully centered inside that mechanism of this clock, and then be able to interact with the world, saying yes or no to these interactions based off of our own decision making. So instead of the clock kind of pulling us around and dragging us, kicking and screaming, and in frustration and disappointment as you're a reflector. Now we can be centered, make decisions correctly, and flip our energetics so that we are making the decision on what we are going to interact with or not. Does that?
Mm, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is super helpful. And I totally see that. It's like everyone has their own inner compass, and it's not really up to the external world to really like decide what's right for each of us individually.
Exactly, exactly. Because we're all designed to be like quote unquote conditioned, right? And really all that is it's how we learn,
Right.
right? And we get to actually make the decision. That's the beauty of design on what we are going to learn and what we are not going to learn based off of our decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's so true. And before, I'd love for you to like share about each design, just like a little snippet, but I love to know like why do you think human design is so important in today's economy?
So it's important because we're watching this in real time, how things like the old structures are breaking down right in front of our eyes, right, Emily? We can see this,
Yeah.
right? We're watching the financial world. We are watching the pharmaceutical world. We are watching governments. We are watching big agra. People waking up to the recognition that the last 412 years in this cross of planning that we were in didn't have our best interest at heart. It was all based off of profits and dictation and, pulling our authority away from us. Now that's not good or bad. It's just how the process was. Now we're learning in or leaning into this process where it's called the sleeping phoenix. So for the next 412 years after 2027, it is this recognition that we can make decisions for ourselves. So we're taking back our autonomy. We are bringing back spirit into the business world. And what I love about design is that not only is it, for me, it's a very spiritual and esoteric energy field, but it is also very, very much mechanical.
Mhm.
So the design really truly tells you who you are designed to connect with, what information you are designed to learn, and then you get to choose, is this the correct person I want to learn this information from or not? So not only is it really quite esoteric and guides us to this deeper place of acceptance and self-reliance, but it is also a mechanical structure that really indicates exactly what we're going to interact with in the world. And I think it's important as we go forward, our businesses have to bring spirit back into them
Yeah,
because humanity is sick and tired of being stepped on. Would you
totally.
agree with that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, and I really do see that shift, and especially in the work I do with like feminine healing, and it's like
Mm.
I feel like those structures were very like toxic masculine oriented, and yeah, so I've definitely seen that shift, and it seems like 2027 is a big year in human design. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when we shift from this cross of planning into this cross of the sleeping phoenix. And through that shift, it is going from a lot of tribal energy where, the tribe really wants to like keep you conformed, right? Like
Yeah.
do exactly as we say. I'm going to teach you my education and you're going to stay in this tribal energy. But we're actually shifting into this energetic where it's more individual, more uniqueness,
Yeah.
more spirit. So that when we are creating, companies or organizations or groups, it's coming from a very uh, acceptance that all these unique parts can come together and that we don't have to be in this conformity or in this box to all play the game together.
Mm,
That's
yeah.
the importance of it, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm ready for
Mm.
that. I feel like that's just so healing, and yeah, that's so beautiful. I just had that 2027 in mind of like, okay, there's like shifts
Mm.
happening. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you a little bit about each type of human
Sure.
design and love to hear what type you are too.
So I'm actually a manifesting generator with sacral authority. So I'm just truly here to respond. Very similar to a generator who is also here to respond. So that generative energy is the life force. So instead of us running around using our energy incorrectly, when we align to what we're responding to, now we can actually build and help people build this 3D world in a more satisfying way. So we're
Right.
not forcing ourselves like shoulda, woulda, coulda. No, we're leaning into this response. And when people request our energy or the transits request our energy, mostly it's other people, then we can actually engage with that in a different way, right? So we get to make our decisions. And that is going to just, this next shift for humanity, that is going to just open up so much satisfaction in the world when the generators and manifesting generators really truly align to their response mechanism. Because, you as a reflector, okay, so we'll pop into your type. You as a reflector, you're designed to sample the energy fields of like a community or a group or other people. So when you're in the world and you're sampling frustration, well, then it's going to probably breed a lot of disappointment in you, right?
Right.
Just because low density frequencies just do that. But imagine a world where 70% of the population is operating from satisfaction and you get to sample that satisfaction. Now the whole, like everything changes, right? The whole dynamic changes.
Wow.
Okay. And then if we look at our projectors, well, our projectors are actually here to advise and guide that sacral authority or sacral energy, right? So any of our generators and manifesting generators. So the beauty of a projector is to get very good at asking questions. This isn't about, opinions or any of that. This is about watching the other person deeply and focusing in on them and then asking them the questions around that usage of energy so that the generator or manifesting generator can get really centered in their response mechanism. And that's the beauty of our projectors. It's not about giving opinions or telling the generator or manifesting generator what to do. It's about, no, I notice that you're frustrated when you take this action. How can we shift that? And that's the beauty of our projectors because they're here to ask those really pinpointed questions. And then what I love is our manifestors. I love them because they truly are designed to create original containers. Okay. So I see them like Moses. They get these 10 commandments. They get this directive from the transiting system. And that directive then allows them to open up these brand new creative spaces so that humanity can move forward in life. So, how Moses like put down his staff and split the seas and the Exodus could happen. That is the power of our manifestors is to create a container so that now the generators and manifesting generators can walk through there and build. The projectors can guide that building process. And then you, Emily, as a reflector, the beauty with you is that you get to just sit there and go, okay, I'm going to sample this process. And then you get to tell us what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong.
Mhm.
And that's the beauty of the reflector. It's this beautiful evaluation process that you get to go through to really assist everyone. Is this the right container for these generators to be in? Is this the right container for these projectors to be guiding in? Is this the right container? Are we doing this correct or not? That is the beauty of of this whole process. And if we can sit back and watch the mechanics of it work, it changes the whole dynamic of humanity.
Right. That's incredible. Thank you so much for explaining it that way. Like I've never, I guess, heard of like the relationship between them all and
Yes.
how important that piece is. Like I feel like it's very much my learning has been like very individualized. Like you
Right.
go off and do this, and like most people are generators, so they're gonna like, use their gut. And then it was just like, how is it all connected? So that's so helpful.
Awesome.
And it's a great reminder for me too as a reflector to um yeah, to know like that that's the role in relation to the generators, manifesting generators and the projector too.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yep.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so one thing I love, right? Like you as a reflector, 5-1, left angle crosser refinement, you're going to refine this throughout your entire life, right? There's going to be this refinement process for you. However, what I love is that Ra used to say, as a reflector, like the beauty of who you are is that you could get hired to go to like large conferences or go sit in like a government building, which I don't know if you'd want to do that or not. But you know what I mean? Go to these larger organizations and really you could you could be hired on as an evaluation consultant. Because the beauty with your design is to just sit, observe, and really be able to sample and then reflect back what's going on, right?
Right.
And as a 5-1 in your particular design, you get to see the expectations that other people have at a really profound level. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, what do you mean by that? Like the expectations, like, yeah, I guess you mean like the norms and kind of ways of thinking that other people have?
And also how they expect other people to save them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That really tracks. Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because so much of humanity doesn't want to take responsibility for themselves,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
what they do is they expect someone else to be their savior, and because you experience this as a 5-1, now this is like I shouldn't say the word jealous, but I get a little jealous with the fifth line because you guys know exactly what other people want. You know it because they tell you, they expect it from you. And now you can either say yes or no. I do have a solution or I don't have a solution. And that's the beauty of a 5-1. And as a reflector, it's a deeper process for you because you've already sampled it energetically. Now they articulate it to you, and you can really go, I don't have the solution for that, or I
Yeah.
do have the solution. How does that track with you?
Yes, that definitely resonates, like what you were saying about saving someone. Like I think so
Mhm.
much of what I do in coaching is like I'm helping people through these situations and I'm like, okay, based on what they said, they were hoping you would do this. And then you didn't do that. And now that's like why there's this like conflict. So that was funny. But um yeah, and then the part about like the 5-1 thing, I think once I learned I was a reflector, it really helped me because a lot of times I would like, even if I wasn't the person with the solution, I would just like make myself be, because I'm
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
this is what anyone else would do. But once I learned I was a reflector, it's like, oh, actually, it's going to work out a lot better if I'm just like, here's what's going on, here's what you need, and it's not going to be me.
yeah,
Because I think there's like kind of a savior kind of people could like view me in that way. And then when I don't meet those expectations, it's like the opposite reaction. And I feel like so much of my early career was navigating that. And so when I found out I was a reflector or 5-1 even, it was like, oh, okay, like be extra discerning. And I think that's been my biggest lesson, knowing that I'm a reflector, is to just be so discerning of what I'm going to be sampling.
yes, yep. And so I don't know if you've played around with the cognition. Have you done that in your design? Okay.
Oh,
So this is really important for anyone that is a reflector, or if you're working with mental projectors. Like it's
Mhm.
important for everyone. But in
Yeah.
order for a mental projector and you as a reflector to really understand, like what are you sampling as a reflector and what is a mental projector really here to guide? You want to look at the cognition, and yours is taste. Okay.
Oh.
So while you're interacting with other people and you're in this deep contemplative state, and you're evaluating the energy frequency, it's all about tasting it. So do they taste bitter? Right? Do they taste like, ooh, they got this sour taste to them? Do you recognize this?
Yeah, I do. This is funny. This is just a lot of what I've been navigating recently. And I think a friend even said, like, or she said, like, a sneak preview. She's like, you're getting a sneak preview into what it would be like to be like in this environment with this. And it's been in so many different areas. So the taste piece, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes. Yep. So when you are interacting with other people, and I get it, most of our world now is over Zoom. We're doing, we're not doing as much in person, but you still have the capacity to taste that. So when you're about to like interact with someone, like even with myself, you come onto Zoom, right? And this is our very first time interacting. It's about like just allow your eyes to close and
Mhm.
taste the air. Breathe it in. So when you're interacting with other people, let their auric field go over top of your taste buds.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe that through your mouth, breathe it in, and really use that as your discernment, because that helps you evaluate the expectations. It helps you evaluate how solid their foundation is. Okay.
Mm.
But then I look along your nodes. Okay. I look along the nodes because these are the people you're going to interact with. Now, they're inside that nodal configuration, you have second and sixth line people that are walking this path with you. Okay. That taste really opens up your capacity to know what kind of leader they are, what kind of a natural abilities they have. Okay. So as you're tasting them, you can taste the bitter, the sour, the tart. You can taste the satisfaction. You can taste the success. But now take it a little bit further and go, okay, can I taste their natural ability to lead? Can I
Mm.
taste their leadership qualities, and and this natural capacity for them to do that?
Wow.
How does that track for you? Do you work with a lot of leaders?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're talking about the two and the six, so that means like a profile line of two and six. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yep. Yep.
And those have
So
to do
you
with like,
so, so you might work with 5 2s, right? You might work with 6 3s, 6 2s. It doesn't have to, the line value indicates, yes, the like your ideal client's profile per se. Yeah.
okay, that really resonates.
Mm.
I feel like I can get that sense of like someone's leadership capabilities and like how they lead. Like, and I can see, okay, like Um, perhaps that's like not the best. And I don't know. I feel like is that pretty much my role as like a 5-1 is to like show this person that or show this system that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's to like basically again, it's you are deeply entrenched in this evaluation system.
Yeah.
So as you're interacting with them, you can evaluate their capacity, right? Like where are they hiding? A 2 likes to hide. They're shy, so they have all these natural abilities. So you can reflect and evaluate. Are you hiding so that you can really practice your natural abilities, or are you hiding because it's fear? because you're scared
Right.
and you're uncertain and you don't know, right? And what you'll do is you'll evaluate that process, and you'll be able to taste the fear. You'll be able to taste their ability to um like be in the quote unquote practice mode of a two. That's what a two is really designed to do. Just,
Mm,
just keep being in that natural capacity, right? So if they're
right.
really good at basketball, it might seem like they're hiding, but they're actually on the basketball court in their community, and they're just playing, they're practicing, they're refining, they're always doing that. So is it fear that they don't go out and get on a team? Or is it just this process of natural capacity and they're waiting for someone to come and find them? Right.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Right. And you get to taste that. You'll be able to taste that fear mechanism, or are they actually leading from a place of confidence? Are they being natural? Right. So does
Right.
that make sense to you?
It does. Yeah, it's really helpful to know like the taste element of that. And then also I do get the sense where it's like I'll come into contact with someone, like whoever in whatever context, and if they aren't someone that's like open to like seeing themselves, or like I think I can tell there's like a shock factor, or like a they're like, whoa, like they they can like see the reflection and they're like, okay, and it kind of like makes them a little bit unsteady. And yeah, it's just like a funny phenomenon I've noticed, which is probably exactly this happening.
It is. It totally is. And of course, a second line, right? Um, like they're so natural, they're kind of like behind the curtain and they don't really trust their natural capacities.
Mm.
So like you'll be able to go in and see their solid foundation. You'll be able to evaluate that process for them. So yeah, yeah, love it.
That's so cool. And that was going to be my next question is like, how does knowing your human design help you with your business and your profit potential? Like, how can this unlock your full potential?
So anything that's colored in, so those 13 activations on the personality side and the 13 activations on the design, sometimes they create a channel, sometimes they don't, just like in your chart. Sometimes they color in center, sometimes they don't. However, this is really what you are here to represent. Okay. This energy naturally flows through you. So I look at this and I immediately, my eyes go to your root center and your throat center because there's a lot of activity there. And I
Mhm.
recognize that you have the capacity to transform stress into this beautiful fuel, and you have this ability to transform communication into this beautiful action. Okay. So I look at that and I go, okay, you're representing that. Now, anything that is not defined, so it's all white, okay? Anything that's white in the design, this is what you're here to learn. So through that learning process, now what you get to do is you get to repackage that learning and sell it to someone else.
Mm.
Okay, so that's the profit potential because you've had all these experiences, right? Like I look at your totally open splenic center, look at your totally open ego center. Of course, everything's undefined, like all the centers are undefined. So there's tons of profit potential here. But I look at those two and I go, you've had such a deep wisdom around confidence and self-worth and what to fear and what to become aware of. So now you get to repackage that and sell that to other people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's like the wisdom.
It
Yeah.
is. That's
Wow.
exactly what it is. And we
Wow.
walk through this world in this conditioning, right? And then we think we should be something else. But the minute that you see design and you go, oh no, let me just represent what I'm really, really good at and let those strengths and those characteristics emanate off of me and then experience the world through that openness, take it, repackage it, and sell it.
That's so powerful and
It
so
is powerful.
simple. It's like,
It is
yeah, it's
simple.
like who, like you said, the energy that's already flowing through who I am to the core. And then with everyone else, it's like just showing up in the way that's best for you versus trying to like fit yourself. I think that's what I did it at first. I thought I was a generator, and it's just like, oh, let's try and be steady working throughout the day. And what's another example of like the profit potential of another type? I'm curious.
It's the exact same. It's the exact same. It's all the openness. We always want to go to that openness. So let's just look at, for example, the undefined solar plexus that you have in your chart. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, anybody with an undefined solar plexus can also profit by teaching people how to move through their pain and recognize it as pleasure. Okay.
Right.
And right. So I see that you have the 55 in this undefined solar plexus. So what that is all about, it's about spirit. And of course, that's where we're moving in 2027. But it's also about this dance between having a lack mentality and having an abundant mentality. Okay? And the fear that sits here is the fear of emptiness.
Yeah.
So you've learned through possibly, I don't know your personal story, but possibly through eating disorders or shopping addictions or sometimes hoarding, because the fifth line has that capacity. So this emptiness gets stuffed with food or people or unhealthy sexual uh, connotations that can happen, shopping addictions, because there's this emptiness there. But through your experience, you have now been able to recognize that. So you can shift it and help other people lean into, are they in an abundant mindset or in a lack mindset? The minute we're in a lack mindset, we will fill up that emptiness with anything that's available.
Yeah.
When we're an abundant mindset, we are actually sitting in the spirit of it all. Would you agree
Mm,
with that?
totally. Oh yeah, I definitely resonate with having gone through most of those experiences. And there's definitely been that awareness of like, oh, like when I feel if there is like a sense of like you said, scarcity, then it's like the
Yeah.
opposite kind of behavior of like, oh, let's like feed it into that and then do those things and it like increases that emptiness feeling.
Yes.
But yeah, I definitely feel like a big part of my teachings has been around abundance and scarcity mindset because that's been my own experience navigating that. So that's incredible that you can
Yeah.
tell
Yes.
looking the different centers, like how much is possible.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's like, of course, I'm a little biased because I've been in this material for 10 years. Um, Emily, everything that is necessary or needed or the learning, all of it is available here in design. So anywhere, like, if we're looking at wellness, if we're looking at business and money, if we're looking at relationships, if we're looking at awakening and awareness, everything is found in the mechanics of the design. It's amazing. It's really
Wow.
amazing.
And I love that you're focusing on the mechanics because when you explain it in that way, I think it's really easy to understand and integrate and then also use it in a business context versus like esoterically, like I get that, but then sometimes it's like, okay, but then like physical realm, how do you like bring that in? But with mechanics, it's like already inherently there. Like it's in
Yeah,
our bodies with our
it is.
spleen and all our
It,
centers. Yeah.
it totally is. Yep.
That's
Yep.
incredible.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'd love to hear more about what you do and how are you helping with business and human design?
So this is exactly what I do right here. Is we walk through all the mechanics. But here's what's really interesting. Human design is not a quick fix, right? Because we've had years of conditioning and layering of all of this muck and mire, right? So I like to work with my clients in long-term containers because as we pull one piece of mud out, there's a new awareness and then the next piece of mud. So I help people recognize what they're really good at, what they're here to learn, how to repackage that, how to profit from it, how to create those offers, and also how to, I'm going to use your word, refine it over time. because when they first start working with me, there's the layers of conditioning, and as we bust that out, the offer that you had, 6 months ago or 12 months ago has already evolved because of our work together. So each, they are quote unquote testing out and working in the material realm through that, right? So it's not like I'm going to give you a 2 hour session and you're going to know everything right
Right.
now. It's this process that goes on. So for example, Emily, I just had a message from a client 2 years ago. We did some work together, and she's like, I just re-listened to our sessions and I'm in tears. She's like, now that I watch the deconditioning process go, I could hear the things that you're saying in a different way and implement them into my business.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that way with human design. I feel like it's been like years long, I don't know, me getting to know it. And then like I think as a reflector, I have the most conditioning, right? Or like if you have the most open centers, like you're the most prone to conditioning. So that I'm like, that was a whole journey of like deconditioning in and of itself. And yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. 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 It's
And
it's definitely a process, 100%. And growth is cyclical, right? It is
like,
very cyclical. How we grow, what's our next experience? How do we react to that next experience? Or
yeah.
are we responding to it? Are we looking for the invitation in it? Are we just evaluating it and allowing ourselves time, like yourself, to really absorb or like sample it and see if it's correct? So there's like the layers and layers and layers are so, so interesting in design.
Oh, yeah, and, like, once you know yours and, you know, how you're helping people, it's like then you'll know how to, make decisions, and you'll know when you're out of alignment, and I feel like that's the greatest gift of, like, working with your strengths, versus, like, trying to fit yourself into something, which we are conditioned to do, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. We don't have to play in the box that the cross of planning, provided for us. We don't have to be
Right.
in conformity. We can be individual and profit and earn a very good living and be centered and, be fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is the key. Yeah, beautiful. Where can my listener find you online, Leann?
So they can go to my website, www.powerofself.ca. All my offers are right there. They can choose a path if they want to work with me. As well, I also have like a ginormous library on YouTube of like 418 videos where they can go and explore and play in human design and business building and all of that. And that's just my name. So Leann, Leann, last name Wolff, Wolff. So you can put that in, and I am in YouTube, and they can find me on my website.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, everything will be linked here in the show notes, and I'm excited to check out your YouTube. I love YouTube, and so that's awesome that you have all like your teachings there. But this has been such an expansive conversation, Leanne. I
Mhm.
really appreciate you coming on and like sharing your wisdom and reflecting around my type too. Is like very helpful to hear in such a like grounded and aligned way that's like tangible, like, you can use it, like, it's not just, I guess, like, astrology or something like that where I'm like, "Okay, I have to go, like, study that and then, like, like, then I'll get it." Like, this is just like, "Here you go." Like, you can
Yep.
go and use that, so thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for pulling out the information. And here's what I will tell your listeners. This is how I teach because I have 8 first lines in my design. So I give the foundation. I
Yeah,
there's no other choice for me but to be that foundational process. And I have a self-study that's super robust, mentorship that we go through everything. That's how I teach, Emily, because it's so important to me to represent and be the contagion for this system in a
mm,
way that's very, very foundational. I don't use trendy terminology. I want you to bust out of the conformity and be individual. And you can only do that with foundational work.
Absolutely. I'm all about that. So
Yes,
thank
you
you
are.
so much.
5-1.
Yeah, exactly. That's my mission. That's what I'm
Yeah,
here to do. And I love that you're living your design. Like that's
yes,
exactly what you're doing.
yeah. Love it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Emily.
Leann. Appreciate
All right.
you.
Thank you.